It has to be
The
plausible from
biggest
every
issue
angle
probably
compared
in the
to.
map editor, especially based on how many maps I've opened up that don't do this right, is most likely the water tool and how to work that out. And I think that's just mostly a question of like tutorials.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of really good on shop. There's one guy called TP that does them that are really, really, really nice pedagogical. Um,
I know the word you're going
so
for.
I mean, is that a real word? I used it in Swedish at all times, but I haven't existed any.
Yeah, it means like school-ish, education-ish.
Yes, yes. In regards to mods, if the team ever decides to feature that's been designed by a modder, i.e. using their Cody for a giant tree brush, would range compensation. Okay, so this is an iffy issue. With the EULA that we have in place, we theoretically own everything, right? Whatever you put out there, if it's a screenshot or a mod or anything, unless it can be argued as a separate entity itself and not part of the game, it is pretty much owned by us. Having that said, we wouldn't take code directly from a modder. I mean, if we see a mod and we want to implement it in the game, we would look at the mod, we would see how they sold things, and then we would do it better. And that's not dissing the modders, that's saying we have access to the game. However, do you do anything? We can do it better, smooth, faster, um, in the sense that we have access to the entire game. So the one compensation they would probably see would be one of honor and glory, because we would be super excited about just kind of throwing that fact out there that we took inspiration. I don't think we would ever purchase a mod and just that would be a very cheap solution, unfortunately.
Now, of course, in the past, Paradox. Now, this is different from Colossal Order. Colossal Order is a very small team, but modding games, and actually, this is not just Paradox. This is all kinds of games. Modding games is a huge way to get noticed by game developers, and so many modders in the past have been hired. And it's a good way to develop your own portfolio if you ever want to get into the games industry. You show off all the mods that you've made for different stuff too.
You know that our current lead on Europe Universalis 4
Wiz.
is an modder. Yeah, Wiz.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, favorite story. He did, for people that don't know, he did a mod called CK Plus. That was honestly pretty much Crusader Kings, but better. And there was such a community just uproar behind him and such a massive reaction to what he did for the game that we weren't really forced to interviewing him, but it was a very, very sensible thing to do. And he got employed, and I think he got employed for like 2 years ago. And since then, he's been just rocketing through the company, and now he's one of the
Yeah, I think he got hired into QA. Then he was the AI lead, and now he's like the EU4 lead.
Honestly, yeah, he kind of puts me to shame because I've been working here longer than him, but he's been accelerating ridiculously fast compared to me. So I feel like a scrub. I'm like, I'm still in marketing, guys. What happened? Someone asked me what wine I'm drinking. It's Fume Blanche. It's really good. I love it. And it's good for you. It's a box wine though, so
Box wine stays fresh longer.
it does, and it's really underrated. I loathe people that would disregard a drink simply because of it. I'm not one for disliking people, but that is something that I just strongly. Um, Someone mentions why it's different prices. The reason is mostly tax, that the price is different in dollars in Europe. Unfortunately, we can't really regulate tax worldwide, and everything we sell, we try to price fairly for the economic circumstances in the land that you're purchasing it and the costs for us, which is why you can buy cities for like $5, which is ridiculous, but has to be adjusted.
You can buy cities for $5.
It's super cheap in Russia. It's ridiculous. Like, it's crazy. I looked at we have like these sales graphs where you see prices in every region and you kind of see the percent differences. And I am pretty sure that in Russia it's like $7 or $5. But then the normal salary there is so much lower that kind of looking at people's sending power, it has the same impact on a per economy as I would say in America. So
Right.
that's a very important part of pricing, is to adjust it depending on, what people are able to pay, because you wouldn't sell a game for $60 in a country where $60 is a month's salary.
Yeah, it would literally never sell the game.
Yeah,
People might still acquire it somehow, but it definitely wouldn't sell.
It is a way to create pirates,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want that. Holy shit! Okay, so I am lagging behind real far in the chat. Have you found any interesting questions?
Oh, I'm having to play the game.
All right,
Everyone knows I don't read
Forgetting
chat.
that you're actually. Everyone can talk shit about Phil in the chat. I like that.
Did that connect? No, it didn't connect. There's so many like brutal slopes on this side of things. My God.
Okay, so someone asks how many people own City Skylines. I can only we haven't really released, but I can go by the ones that are available at the time, and that's roughly 1.5 million. And then I can really comment on how accurate they are. Possible. I like that you're building a subway under the underground road.
Yep, deep, deep, deep.
It's not deep.
Do you have a strategy when it comes to building your subways and bus lines? Oh, I need another stop in between here. Like, do you make loops, chains? How long do you make each one of your subway routes? Do you make like one route that connects to 15 stations, or do you only have them go in tiny little sets? Or what's your preference?
I was reading the chat. I completely missed that question.
Oh, when you make your like subway routes, do you have like one route that stops at like 15 stations, or do you prefer to have a lot of small routes?
So since I live in Stockholm, I want everything to go through a central. So when I do subways, I create one very central transport hub that branches out into every direction, but only goes one way, right? And in some extreme scenarios, so optimally, anyone should go on a subway and then either go to the location or go to the central hub and take a bus there. So it should all be kind of interconnected, not just branching out in random directions and easy.
Well,
makes sense.
I guess I could build one of those at Kenthras Hills. Right now, I just have a big trio. I mean, my city's not that huge yet. Oh, I'm also getting a fair amount of death here. Let me check my water quality. Okay, no pollution. That's good. I have 400 dead people.
You have a lot of dead people. What's happening? Are you poisoning?
No, my water is fine. I only have 86 citizens. I think it's just like the death waves that can happen because people all move into a neighborhood at the same sort of age. So then you get a little bit backlogged on your pickup. But yeah, I have very few sick people.
So probably a bunch of oldies. I saw the most amazing bug some time back where someone had they had removed an intersection using one of the traffic mods, and there had been like a clump of say 100 people just standing by that road because the Pathfinder told them to go on the road, but they couldn't. Intersection missing. And then he put it back in, and it had gone such a long time that everyone there was a senior citizen. So it's like a flood of 100 people with crutches and stuff going over the road. It was an amazing picture on the subreddit.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Okay, so Culture Gamer is super eager about getting his question answered. Any plans for disasters? It's on the want list. I can say that much. It would be a cool feature, but that's like one of the top 5 requested things for the game. So if you were us, would you plan it for the future? My question back to you, being very vague. It would be super cool to have disasters. I would like that. I'm a very sadistical person. Suffer.
Yeah, for me personally, I never cared about like the giant ones, but some amount of random events to force you to keep having to like work on your old sections, look at them again, deal with things, they can be a lot of fun.
They can be, and it adds a lot of immersion to the game. I like that. It's, I would want just very simple disasters. I'm doing my bunny ears with my hand again, where, say it's like, oh, you have a case of this very bad sickness, or you have a case of a lot of tourism's going place, or your mayor did too much cocaine, and is now being chased around by cops and traffic is locked up everywhere.
The Rob Ford simulator?
I like that you know what I was hinting at.
Well, I am Canadian.
Oh, right.
Yes.
He was Canadian.
The shame of the nation.
Oh, by the way, Jesse, right? You met him. He's apparently in the chat, and I feel stalked now. He's our PR guy, so now I'm really afraid to say something bad. Hey, Jesse, you're dashingly handsome today, as you are every day.
It's always good to suck up to the right people.
Sky Storm did an interview with me back at launch where he accidentally used a picture of Jesse instead. So every time I compliment him, I feel like I'm kind of giving it. So Jesse, your jawline is stunning.
Which one is he in the chat?
He is LeJerk.
LeJerk?
Yeah. So everybody spam Jesse so he doesn't hear what I'm saying.
I've had this neighborhood mapped out streetwise for a while, and I haven't done anything with it yet, so I should probably do something with that. Although there's not a whole lot of demand right now. I think I have to wait for my existing stuff to fill in a little bit more. Do I have someone dead on the highway? Oh no, it was over there. That was...
You want land value. That's my one trick to just cheat demand, is to add a lot of park and stuff that adds land value. Then everything levels up, and then the game's like, ha, things are happening, everybody wants everything.
Yeah.
It's a very fast way to kind of just kickstart everything going.
Oh yeah, I've developed this whole area and I never put any parks in there. But no, things are definitely still growing. People are definitely very happy to come in, but I have been neglecting some of these areas here. This map has so much slope, it's annoying. God, stupid hills. Stopping me from build wherever I want. I would not want to be a real-life city planner.
Oh shit, I got everyone to spam the chat. No, that was not my intention. I was joking. I'm sorry, mods. That was not what I want.
Yeah, I'm usually the worst for causing my chat to get all spammy.
But you don't even read it, so what does it matter for you?
Well, I do try to read it from time to time. I try.
It was on the topic of PR people. I had the most fun at PAX. So I was there too. We had a panel on modding, right, where we're just chatting about everything going on. I have some interesting stats to drop later. And that was just 1 hour of a four-day work trip in quotation marks, because so I figured I'd follow Carolina around and be her PR person. That was so much fun. I got to sit next to her on interviews and then look at her judgingly and shake my head. I can't answer that. It was so... I want to be a full-time PR person now, because that's what Jesse does, right?
Yeah.
We don't much do head shaking. You've been talking to us, you know how we do our interviews, but just sometimes you get to say no. But I felt like I had the power. They're like, okay, let's stop the interview here. Let's take this shot. Clearly, we can't be on this topic. It was pretty much only Xbox questions, so I was excited. It was one fun thing I could.
I've done some trips. Like, I've been places where people have flown me out for, not too different than, say, what Paradox has done, right? Bring me out somewhere to show me a game, that sort of thing. Where, like, for the interviews for it, it's been, like, me and a developer sitting in an office with their lawyer. Like, literally the lawyer in the room with us.
That must be really scary.
Yeah, it was. I'm like, this is not the way it should be. And that's the problem with the bigger companies. Like, at Paradox, you guys are, like, in the sweet spot. You're big enough that you can do a lot of things, but you don't feel like a big company yet, which is good, which is awesome. Because you're still sort of dynamic and you can respond to things. And then, yeah, because there's these other companies, and they do not get it. They don't even get, like, YouTube as a whole. Like, I don't know about this. We're going to stick with paper magazines as our PR of choice.
But it's hard, it's the video game industry has a lot of young, fresh minds that want to kind of not work then it also has so much money that it pulls, a lot of the old school entertainment people. I mean, video games are bigger than Hollywood. That says quite a lot for the people that are going to be attracted to it. So with a lot of companies, you're going to see kind of that disjoint from what video wants. But a shameless self-plug here for Paradox. We have, Susanna, right? You met.
Oh yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah. She is, and the thing is that she's been with us for, I think, almost 10 years, or maybe she's been with us since the start. She's been, she was head of marketing. She was pretty much the entire marketing department for several years, and she's kind of just been a part of the company since. Tiny group of people. And she recently transferred from being the marketing lead, maybe 5 years ago, into being the COO, Chief Operating Officer of Paradox, which not only made her second in command as far as structures, but she was also put in charge of culture. So she works almost full-time on ensuring that we don't become stupid just because we're big and have more money. Mm-hmm. That we don't become this kind of disjointed company that just starts seeing numbers and not. And her and Fred have been pushing this ever since I started, at least. And I do that we have this idea that we don't want. And that is something you do without, without being real upfront with them and without being personal with them. And that's not something you can do when you're just a big corporate entity that doesn't understand anything. So I have to give her a huge amount of credit for not turning.
Yeah, I think I met her when she was still the marketing director, and yeah, it was nice to see that she's getting more authority over there because she's quite cool.
I mean, she's the one who employed me, so I'm gonna say yes. I think she's cool too. But yeah, it's definitely a big part of us actually throwing people into maintaining the order or maintaining kind of our very down to earth attitude. There's this guy that's been asking a question several times in the chat, and I have to respond to it because I know it's a pressing issue for many regarding traffic behavior and whether or not it's going to be fixed. And I know it's controversial, but traffic as it is right now, even though it can be improved, is working as the game simulates up to 1 million people with, I think, 65,000 active moving time. For anyone with some kind of knowledge regarding, processing power, they will understand that calculating the paths of 65,000 units simultaneously and constantly regarding new ideas and concepts depending on how things is going to be a very large task. So with how traffic works right now, it is as clever as it can be without locking away a lot of people processing power. And there are mods that make traffic better or more human or behave different ways, but they are a performance hog. Mm-hmm. So yes, we might improve things like, say, the animation for when a car changes lanes. Right now, it's kind of perfect, I'm going to say, to maintain neutral, but it's not super great. So that's, for example, something that we could improve. But you won't see a game where the cars, 10 times on their trips recalculate their paths, because then you're going to have, one in-game day take a full minute. You're going to have a very, very... We don't want that. We don't want to lock away people from the game.
Yeah, I mean, I am a programmer, and pathfinding, honestly, I have no idea how you guys are managing it as is without having the whole computer meltdown, because pathfinding is a very, very, very difficult topic. And still one that's being developed in computer science circles to a tremendous extent. Like, I don't know what the algorithm in City Skylines is, but like D-Star Light is one that some people are using for things like this, and it's only a few years old. And the idea that a whole new algorithm that's being published as like a thesis statement are still coming out as of a few years ago for Pathfinder can tell you, like, it's a very complicated topic and something hard to optimize, and you can't just throw unlimited CPU at it. Or you could throw unlimited CPU at it, in a sense.
Yeah. But then, of course, it's a performance hog for if you have more power. And I mean, it can be improved. I hope that we have as a standing goal, like and smooth. But the fact stands that a lot of people play City Skylines on relatively outdated computers. Specs aren't that high, and if we change that, say if we publish an expansion that changes traffic behavior drastically, that's going to lock away a lot of people. And then suddenly you have a mod like Traffic++ or Improved Traffic that actually does this. And you can, I mean, you're a click away from doing this exact thing without having to sacrifice things for others, which is once again the beautiful. So it kind of gives you that option.
Yeah, you tune it basically to the performance that you are capable of accepting.
Yes, correct. I mean, it's always super difficult to have to sit there and be like, okay, so where do we want the system requirements to be? Because, you can tweak up things. You can add double details in all the buildings. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's the exact same effort, but if you look at these models, they're kind of detailed. And I am pretty sure that a lot of them were originally even higher detailed when they were delivered to us, and then they were adjusted depending on the on the game, right?
Right. Texture memory limits, polygon limits, that sort of thing.
It's actually, you can look at, I think, Battlefield 2. If you look at the tank models that DICE did for their internal builds, just like their 3D people did, they are more detailed than the tanks in Battlefield 4 are in game today. Like, they are ridiculously good looking. But then they had to take this amazing thing and they had to say, okay, what are the essentials here for us to be able to display this properly without sacrificing the gamers? And since City Skylines is not a graphic-oriented game, but a game that's heavy on your computer and your performance, then we have to do the same thing for simulation aspects. The fact that it could be a traffic simulator, it could be like, Citizen Motion 3, where everything is super cool and everything is realistic, but then it wouldn't be a city builder.
Yeah.
Actually,
well, that was the big thing with Cities in Motion, and I think everyone who ever played Cities in Motion wanted it to be a city builder.
Yes, I mean, we didn't want Citizen Motion to be a city builder, but Paradox and Colossal have been super excited about the premise of having a city builder since we started cooperating with Citizen 1, because, we are all huge fans. Someone wants you to read donations because they posted a question there. Also, if someone is excited in pathfinding and just learning a bit more about programming, the guy that banished, before he published the game, he had a lot of dev blogs, and he had one that was super interesting, even for a layman such as himself, regarding how he thought about pathfinding in the game and how he had improved it through several iterations. And it's interesting to read, to kind of get a look into the sacrifices he had to make and all the ideas he had on how to make his tiny little citizen smart. So that is a very recommended read for that want to learn more about how pathfinding works.
Yeah, I've read his blog a lot. It's been fantastic. Another great blog that I like a lot is the person who develops the Gratuitous Space Battles game and all those things from Positech. He has a lot of game dev info on there. Not as much pathfinding, but a lot of other cool things like how to optimize, just like drawing particles on the screen, because he wants to make a lot of explosions. And it gives you, even if you're not a programmer, you can get a sense about what's involved in solving these problems.
Super cool. I mean, you kind of get this look into game development. That's what I love with a lot of indie games, because they are super passionate about kind of writing and
So Anonymous sent in a tip. Well, actually, we got a couple of tips here. Anonymous asks, he's got a question for you. Do you plan to improve the resource system? Let's say you can get only some luxury resources in your region, and you have to trade import/export to get them. Which reminds me of some of the stuff that they tried to do in SimCity 5 and also Cities XL.
It's a super tricky question. I mean, the short answer is going to be probably not, because that's not the game. There are amazing games or potentially amazing games going into that direction. I mean, there's a new Anno game being developed right now that is going to be a lot more like that, where you do a lot of the gameplay relies on resources. That's not what City Skylines is. It would be super cool, but I don't think that we would ever pick detailed resource management for things that add to different parts of the simulation. You're not supposed to be this micromanaging entity. You're supposed to the spirit of the city, the fictional mayor. And I don't really think any mayor would go into detailed resource management. He would more, or she would go more in the direction of, what would we do? No,
Right.
we don't make a game, once again, feature creeping. We don't want to make a game that appeals to everything for everyone. We kind of keep our vision going.
Right, because there is some resource management in the game, although a lot of it is happening sort of invisibly. Like, I have zoned my oil area, right? And eventually that oil area will run out of oil. But even though I still have it set as a district, then what will happen is the city will automatically start to import raw oil, whereas the industry will ship over to, like, petroleum refineries, right? And so it's all sort of behind the scenes automated.
Yes,
You just send a vague command of, do oil things here.
And then the city kind of manages it on itself. And you can micro it. I mean, you can be like, okay, I have an oil refinery. I have an oil plant. This makes cheaper power for me. Because, of course, if you import materials, it costs you money. So if you're really into details, you can do that. But it's going to be a lot more high concept than going into separate resources. And I'm not saying this because I don't like the idea. I mean, I am a fan of, say, Cleopatra or Caesar 3. And those games had a lot more resources, right? They were really, really fun. I loved it. I loved it so much. And I love Anno. I love Banished. I love a lot of games where you do that. I know that's something that I share with the team, but we can't please everyone. And if we would try to do that, we would end up with pleasing. And that's just an... if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Let's see. How powerful a computer do you recommend for Skylines? Well, there are system requirements and recommendations, I think.
Yes, there are. It's not a powerful computer. You don't need, like... I would generally recommend, if someone would build a computer for City Skylines, that you would go with an early generation Sandy Bridge, say i5. I mean, I personally used 500K, which I still think is an amazing for everything gaming. And then like 600 series or above NVIDIA GPU that isn't the low tier, and then you're fine. And then, of course, everything around. RAM is something that you're going to need a lot for mods. I saw a guy, he sent me a message on Facebook. He's like, okay, so the game keeps crashing. It says I'm having too many mods, and then it turns out he has 1,200 assets installed.
Oof, yeah.
Even though you have 32 gigs of RAM, that's going to be a lot of strain on your game. So if you're planning to be like super modular, of course you might want a more powerful RAM, but you don't need a beast to play.
Yeah, luckily RAM is relatively cheap, and it is important, especially like for all the games I play. It's all about the RAM. Like, I don't know if the Casper, the Kerbal person, is still in the chat, but like when you start running those Kerbal mods, that's the thing that gets eaten up too, is all your RAM. So you're like, okay, more RAM.
Yeah. RAM is very good for you. I just realized I've been here for past this so.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, like, it's more than pastime for me to take a break, and I don't want to keep you forever. I don't know if you were going to make a pit stop in a Kiss for Luck stream. Apparently, Skype is back up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. It is. No, it's spinning for me. Never mind.
Oh, all right. Well, she's got a raid call set up as well, so that information could probably get passed along.
Cool. I will poke Essentia. It's really Essentia.
Essentia.
I think I'm gonna bounce through James' stream because I talked to him earlier, and Biffa on the way. But I might reappear in like a fluck. And holy shit, I'm gonna be on streams the entire evening now that I think of it.
Have more wine. It's gonna be fine.
Yes, I have like half a box left. Jesse, don't follow me into the next stream. I want to be less PC there. I want to be more. Less professional. So don't listen to us. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna be professional and straightforward. I would never say anything.
Nothing inappropriate ever. Yeah.
Never ever. All right. It was super great for you to have me. I really enjoyed it. I don't know what to say. I used to stream, so I used to have like a catchphrase when I disappeared. but I'm gonna say because I've already gained like 10 followers from being here. Follow me on Twitter. I am totally me with one L. That's the right way to spell it. If you see a sloth with a lot of no fun allowed on it, that means you found me. It's a very legitimate thing to do to follow me. It will give you glory. It's like if you're an Indian and you're building a temple to now I'm not gonna call myself a god. Shit, that's a really bad analogy. It's like you know these weird American churches where you're paying money for getting nothing and you're like planting seeds.
Yes,
It's
the
like
faith seeds.
that. Yes, but you're planting a seed for future happiness by following me.
There you go.
I'm
Well,
gonna go with
you've
that.
heard it here first, guys. Totally Moo wants your seed.
Exactly. Please don't quote that out of context. Okay. Thank you for having me. It was great. I'm gonna pass on to I think James. It depends if he answers me or not, but I hope so. I'll see you later. If you're gonna stream later this week, we're gonna be super busy, but we are going to be back eventually. So poke me if you. Okay.
All right, will do.
All right. Cheers.
Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye. Okay, have I actually quit raid call? I think so. Nope. There we go. Got rid of that. All right, we're going to take a short break, maybe 5 minutes or so. I don't know, maybe I should make lunch. I'm not hungry. I'll make more tea, and when we come back, we will continue to develop our city. I saw a lot of things, people asking me to do some bike paths and stuff. We'll see what we can do about that. I have no idea how to get them going, so we're going to try our best. And we've gone and just bought all the tiles, so we've got everything unlocked here. And our town, I think it's starting to shape up. We've got, clear districts with different feelings in different areas. We're going to turn the game sounds back on. I just didn't want them interfering with the chat. It was already being hard enough to hear. There we go. I should save the game again. I do have the autosaves turned on, but there we go. Let's get an explicit one. And, yeah, when we come back, we'll keep developing. I'm hoping the tourism starts to kick in. I'd forgotten to zone it for a while, but we're now making $1,000 a week. It's a week, right? On tourism, which is a start. Still making a lot more from the citizens, although that'll always be the case. This place is starting to look really shiny. Check this out. Especially at night. Oh, man, that is just gorgeous. What kind of things we have here? Best Eastern. Crest Resorts, Your Choice Hotel, Grand Hotel. How about that? And we got the super fancy luxury hotel over here. We should name it after someone here. Let me grab a subscriber name. It's going to be the... Oops, I'm in the wrong window. Sir Arthur Penguin Hotel. Bam! It's cost me $3,200 a week, and it's drawn 15 tourists last week. So, it's totally worth it. I got to work on getting this tourism to actually be profitable. But it looks awesome! Look at that. Plenty of workers. Are these guys getting tourists? Not a whole lot. Now, I don't have necessarily my mass transit set up all the way. I think someone just got dropped off here by cab. Are you a tourist? Tourist? Nope, you're unemployed. Excellent. Tourists! There we go. Interesting. So, presumably these are cabs, but they don't have cab designs? They just use regular-looking cars? Medium wealth tourists going to the restaurant pier. The super high restaurant piers. All right, yes. Short break. When we come back, we continue to develop the city. See ya in a few.